as a company, as a country, as a people, compete and win in a global marketplace, if 70% of us show up disengaged? And not only do we need leaders, but we must become leaders ourselves, guys. We must have vision and focus so that collectively we can help our teams win. Have there not been times that we have limited our opportunities because we limited our focus to exactly what they asked us to do? Maybe even now. Are we limiting our opportunities for, say, promotions because we haven't learned to see beyond and hear what is not voiced? What happens when we lose sight of the vision is we disengage and give up. Ladies and gentlemen, that's one thing we immigrants know, and Americans have forgotten. It is that everything, and I mean everything, begins and ends with a vision. You got the coffee beside you, you're looking at an email with one eye, the traffic with the other, and you're going 70 miles an hour, and you're not missing a beat with what's going on with the kids in the back, right? When there's so many things competing for our attention, focus becomes a critical success factor. Contribution. We're talking about connecting the dots and helping your people contribute so that they can see what's not visible, so they can hear what's not voiced. Learning to hear what is not voiced and see what's not visible will add credibility and longevity to you in this business. Guys, the only way we're going to be able to truly contribute is to establish relationships between the people we've got to work with. What's the distance between the 7th floor and the 8th floor? Come on. The issue is we sit at our desk and we email somebody 2 cubicles away. Come on, you know you do that. You know you do that. Zap the gap between strategy and vision, the gap between where you are and where you want to be. We can't be falling asleep at the wheel. We got to zap the gap, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you're ready, let's go. Let's begin with leadership, because I truly believe that most of us want to succeed in life, don't we? We want our lives to be filled with purpose and passion. That's how it was with me. I remember when I was back in college, as a typical college student, you know, mastering in beer and wine and getting ready to go celebrate my 20th birthday, when I got a call that Mom wanted to talk. Marcia, every woman ought to have a career. And since you cannot decide, I have chosen for you. Guess what career she chose? Yes, somebody. No, teacher, no. What else? Nursing, no. She chose computers. Can you believe this? In 1968, when most people were happy with their Selectric typewriters, and mothers were telling their daughters to get married, my mother is telling me to get a career with computers. So within a matter of months, I was flying high on an Air Jamaica jet heading to New York City. But like most immigrants coming here, I had confidence. Scared, but confident. I'd always heard that Wall Street was where the money was, so Wall Street is where I wanted to be. I wanted to be one of those famous immigrants that made it big in America. So that Monday morning, I jumped into a taxi and said, "Take me to Wall Street." When I got there, I learned 2 things. One, that a taxi ride from Brooklyn to Manhattan should not go through New Jersey. And 2, if you get into a cab in New York City and say, "Take me," they will. That morning, on about my 8th interview, I met with a man behind a big, shiny desk. There wasn't a single sheet of paper on it. I'm thinking to myself, this is my kind of job. It's 11 o'clock, and he's already through. When he looked up from my resume and said, "We cannot hire you. You have no American experience." Then it came to me, "Excuse me, sir, how would the computers that I'm going to be working on know that I just got here?" He was smiling when he said, "You got spunk. Let's try you out for 90 days. Yes! In less than 48 hours, I had a computer job at 130 Pearl Street, smack dab in the middle of Wall Street. You got it. You got it. Wall Street. Guys, if my mom hadn't given me a vision when I didn't have one for myself, I guarantee you I'd have been lost for a long, long time. What is your vision? Do you know your vision for your organization, for your team, for your life? Solomon, one of the wisest men that ever lived, said, "Without a vision, my people perish." And if you have a vision and no one knows the vision, you might as well not have a vision. And therein lies the problem. As we get ready to wrap up, I want to remind you again of these 3 critical things we've talked about. 1, we've got to lead. Lead with focus and vision. Be the kind of leader where your people will say, "I know where you're going and I want to be with you." Focus your people around the vital few, not the useless many. And position them to contribute. Connect the dots so that they're able to contribute, so that they're able to hear what's not voiced and see what's not visible, so they can see the opportunities ahead, hear what their customers are not saying. And lastly, create the culture and build the relationships, the kind of relationships that will allow you to have the energy and the passion to zap the gap. That's what we're talking about. I'd like to leave you with one last story. It's a story about a remarkable lady, a lady of little means. Her name is Osceola McCarty. Now, Osceola, she didn't work in a big office like we do. In fact, the only thing she knew how to do and did all her life was wash and iron clothes. She talks about getting a couple of bucks for a big bundle. But believe it or not, she found a way to save even a few cents. And she did this all of her life. She did it through her 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And then one day, this gentleman that she used to wash clothes for helped her put her affairs in order. Because you see, Osceola was now 85 years of age. He went to Osceola and they sat at this table. And he wrote on little slips of paper the names of all the people she wanted to leave her money to. Her will. And he gave her 10 dimes. Osceola, this represents your will. How do you want to divide up your money? She moves a few dimes and says, this goes to the church. And this to some family, relatives. Then she does the most remarkable thing. she moved the equivalent of 6 dimes, which represented over $150,000, and said, give this to the University of Southern Mississippi. You talk about contribution. She said, I'm too old to get an education, but I can help somebody else get one. I don't know about you. It caused me to examine my life. Am I prepared to really make that kind of contribution? To give more than half of my life savings? Because you see, when she did that and Harvard heard about that, they gave her an honorary degree. And Ted Turner, when he was interviewed for giving away $1 billion, who did he credit with that inspiration? Osceola McCarty. And you remember I talked about the Olympics? When the Olympics wanted somebody to take the torch through the town, who got to take the torch? Osceola McCarty. It only takes one to change, one to be that catalyst. Will you be that catalyst? Will you be that one person on that team that stands up and steps up the game? Will you be that one person to change your future, the future of your company, the future of our country? I know you can. And that is why it has been my indeed honor to be with you. Friends, lead, contribute, and zap the gap is the duty of every American. And I challenge you to do that. Thank you very much.